Minister of State Trevelyan de Anne-Marie, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, let us start with an experiment. Please close your eyes and imagine how energy will be generated and used in 2050. What do you see? I believe that we probably all see a similar picture. A world where we use energy from solar and wind for lighting, heating and cooling, and where it is affordable, safe and environmentally friendly. A world with safe and good jobs, where people use clean and silent cars, trucks, buses and trains. A climate-neutral energy supply is both an opportunity and a necessity. You all know the warnings from climate scientists and the recommendations of economists and the needs of our people. And still, not enough is being done on climate action and the energy transition. 3 weeks ago, the UN Climate Secretariat published a first synthesis report on the NDCs which have been submitted up until now. And this report is really disenchanting. 2 weeks ago, the International Energy Agency announced that energy-related carbon emissions, following a dent in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, are now rising rapidly once again. And 1 week ago, UN Environment and University of Oxford published a study stating that most of the environmentally friendly economic stimulus measures are limited to only a few pioneering nations. So how can we reach a climate-neutral world, the world we imagine for 2050? So Germany has made a lot of headway in this direction, not least the energy sector. And this is also reflected by the current statistics on emission data published by the German Environment Agency. My goal is for us to meet our climate and environment targets, to remain successful industrialized nations, and at the same time improve our quality of life and cohesion in our country. Let me give you 3 examples to illustrate this point. Let me talk about the coal phase-out first. The coal phase-out in Germany is in full swing. Following the first round of auctions, almost 5 gigawatts of coal power were taken off the grid on the 1st of January. This includes the plant in Moorburg, which is one of the most modern plants in the world, which started operation only 6 years ago. Moorburg will now start to produce green hydrogen, which plays a central role in areas where renewables cannot be used directly, for example in the steel industry or in aviation. Another place where hydrogen and synthetic fuels will be produced is the PTX lab in the Lausitz area, which I launched this March. Those are future technologies that give new prospects to coal regions, namely to become energy regions in a climate-neutral Germany. Apart from the coal phase-out, Germany is also putting an end to the age of nuclear power. 10 years after the Fukushima accident, we are well aware that nuclear power is high risk, it is inflexible, it is expensive, and handling the radioactive waste is a problem that is unsolved around the world, and this is why nuclear power cannot be an instrument to promote climate action. And this is why at the end of the year, another 3 nuclear power plants will be taken off the grid, and the last 3 nuclear power plants still in operation will be phased out at the end of 2022. So by phasing out coal and later gas and oil, we will completely modernize Germany's energy market. This means that we need to expand energy in much more quickly than in the past. Last year, almost half of Germany's electricity came from renewable energy. The federal government has decided to increase this share to 65% by 2030. I believe that we need to redouble our efforts in this area so that by 2050, 100% will be produced, 100% of the electricity will be produced from renewables, and this will provide jobs and ensure a secure and resilient energy supply for households and the industrial sector. Ladies and gentlemen, during Germany's presidency of the Council of the EU last year, the EU adopted a new and ambitious climate target. By 2030, we want to reduce our carbon emissions by 55% compared with 1990 levels. That is a great step forward and an important milestone towards achieving climate neutrality by 2050. This now needs to be implemented across Europe. The economy needs clear rules. Behavior that is damaging to climate needs to become more expensive, and climate-friendly behavior needs to become more attractive. The rising carbon price, which now applies also to the German transport and heat sectors, is an important element here. The new EU taxonomy is another element. It will help identify the right investments so that private capital can be invested in sustainable and climate-friendly projects. And it's quite clear that investment in fossil energy and infrastructure, and in the future also in oil and gas projects, will become increasingly risky. Providing incentives for investments in climate-friendly energy, technology and infrastructure is a global challenge. Europe's and Germany's climate action can only be fully effective if other countries also get on board. The EU delivered, and now I expect that the other big emitters also show how they want to raise their ambitions for global climate action in a clear and reliable manner. And I'm optimistic that ever more countries are announcing that they want to become climate neutral by the middle of this century. In Paris in 2015, we agreed that the pledges made in 2015 would be reinforced and their implementation accelerated. Countries now need to deliver on this promise at the COP this November. A lot needs to happen by then. Ladies and gentlemen, let me end by picking up on an issue that is crucial for making the energy transition and climate neutrality a success, namely equal participation by men and women. 1 week ago, we celebrated International Women's Day, which is a national holiday here in Berlin, and rightly so. Even though men and women are equal on paper, however, we're still a long way from making this a reality. And the current energy system is also disadvantaging women around the world in many respects, on jobs, on mobility, on health, on access to electricity. The global energy transition can only become a success if women are at the table in the planning and decision-making and implementation of the energy transition. At the beginning of March, I discussed it with many women at the first ever women's conference at my ministry, and I am delighted that many successful women also have an active role here at today's BETD. Together we can achieve climate neutrality by 2050. Let us be bold and optimistic. Then we'll be able to create a world that's not only climate neutral, but also securer, more secure, just and more resilient. Thank you.